Did I do that again? Did I do it again? Hold on one second. Let's try that one more time. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Genki 1 Lesson 2 question and answer live stream. Thank you for being here. Thank you to those of you who are just over in the premiere for the stream cut of Lesson 2, and it's just so great to see you guys. I think we have audio this time, so had to do it again. But anyway, it's great to see you guys. Tonight we're going to be going over question and answers from Lesson 2. If anyone has any questions. I didn't get any questions in particular for Lesson 2 off of the Discord or Twitter. But if anyone has any questions tonight, I'm more than happy to answer them. If not, we can just chat for a bit and see what happens. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the slides from Lesson 2. I'm not going to teach the whole thing over again, obviously. But I figure we can have those up and sort of use them as a reference to see what we went over in case anyone forgot, and, to sort of refresh your memory if you did have any questions. But first, let's go ahead and say hello to everyone in the chat. We've got, scrolling to the top, here from about an hour ago, we've got Sophia's Animation Studio. She made a cool picture for us last time on the Undertale stream, so thank you so much for that. We've also got Lynn, who jumped in right over from the premiere as well. And Come to Japan Dan, my trusty mod, made the jump to Lightstream. He says, nice. Oscar Carrillo, or Carrillo. I can't really speak Spanish anymore. But anyway, it's probably just Carrillo, right? Anyway, he says, Ohayo gozaimasu. He's in New York, and it's very early over there, so thank you for being here. We've got Yato, who also turned me into Psyche K over on his YouTube channel. Thank you for that. And we got anyone else here? Let's see. I'm scrolling down. Carpe Diem is also here. Thank you. He says, I have to say, I was more focused on the glass Coke bottle and my bag of sweets when he was watching Star Wars in theaters. Nice. All right. We were just talking about Runway Incursion as well. It says, now. We're starting right now. And Silmarie, thank you for being here. Yep. And Matthew Spitz. Oh my, there's lots of people here. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Hit that like button. Anyway. All right. Oh, Yuki is also here. She says, Ohayo gozaimasu. So, anyway, how is everyone doing tonight? Hopefully you're doing amazing. I had an interesting day today. Aroha minasan, says Seal. All right, we've got Hawaiian Japanese in there. Nice. It's an interesting day. My sensei's name is Yuki Yamaguchi. Nice. Yamaguchi Yuki-san. Yuki is also going to become a Japanese teacher one of these days, probably on iTalki or something. But anyway, moving on. So today I didn't do as much as I wanted to today, but it's beautiful weather. It's t-shirt weather already. Suddenly, we had our kotatsu out, which is like a table with a heater underneath it, up until today, literally. But then suddenly it was too hot. But it also looks like we've already got a question. We've got a question from Lynn in the chat. She says, I have a question about kanji used together with kanas. Why, for example, for tomodachi in Genki, they use tomodachi? All right. It's a good one. So, now this is something I heard a long time ago, and I'm going to have to confirm it with Yuki really quick. But apparently, in particular, for the kanji for tachi, so in tomodachi and hitotachi and stuff like that. Apparently, a long time ago, there were some negative implications with that kanji. I'm not exactly sure why. Someone told me about this like 5 or 6 years ago, so I can't... My sensei's name is Andy. Thank you, Yato. So I can't remember the exact details, but apparently there's some negative connotations to using tachi, particularly the kanji. So in a lot of cases, it's written using the hiragana instead. Now, I don't have an answer as to exactly what those reasons are. I can't remember. Maybe Yuki has more. No, doesn't know. Ne? Yeah. So in that situation in particular with tachi, I know about that. In other situations, in a lot of other situations other than tachi, sometimes certain kanji are too uncommon or a little bit too high level, or if it's like material aimed at, for example, elementary school students, sometimes difficult kanji will be written in hiragana instead. So that's often the case as well. It'll be depending on who the target is for that material. In a lot of learning material, they might not use certain difficult kanji that hasn't shown up yet, just to make it easier on the learner. But it's only for certain words, right? Like, not every word is going to have a situation where you write one kanji as a hiragana. It's only certain ones. And tomodachi is a good example for that. All right. So, Sophia, what are you saying? Says Yato. Min e o sensei anzu. I don't know, man. Like lemon. Spelling English words on the Romaji keyboard. I have an IQ of 3. Nice. All right. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. It's something like that. I don't have like a perfect historical answer for you, but it's something along those lines. At least that's what I heard a long time ago. All right. So the first thing we covered in lesson 2 was this and that, which is basically kore, sore, are, and dore. It's pretty straightforward. Nandi, says Sophia. It's pretty straightforward, right? It's just this, that, that. Dore is a WH word. Which in this situation. In case you're wondering, if you want to ask someone which they want between two different things, you would use dochira or dochi, right? Dore is just for 3 or more. They only teach that one here because we're going over the pointing words that end in de. So I doubt there's any questions, on this section. But if there is, please go ahead and stop me, and I'll happily wait. Carpe Diem says, "Watashi wa otoko desu ka?" Are you am I a man? I don't know. I think so, but I don't know for sure. So anyway, our next section, I did get some questions in the comments on the stream replay, and that was over kono, sono, ano, and dono, which are specific. If we jump down into the description, it's specific kore, basically. It requires a noun, so you have to have a noun attached to kono. And that person asked me, basically, is kono the same as kore no something? So, for example, they asked, is kono hon the same as kore no hon? And the answer is no, not exactly. So it looks like that, and that would make a lot of sense, but that's not the case. Because if I were to say kore no hon, that kind of implies that, well, it depends on what kore is. But maybe it's this store's book or something like that. For example, Genki no hon means the book Genki. Kono hon just means this book. So they mean something different completely. Yamete kure, says Yato. Is that correct? Yes, it is. It is correct. It means stop, please. I learned that from Andy's TikTok. Yes, I've taught some interesting things over on TikTok. Muda, that's another good one. Yes, muda, it's a waste. Lots of random Japanese words showing up in chat right now. Anyway, so if nobody has any other questions on kono, I'm gonna keep flying through these. Kono hon wa omoshiroi desu ka? Since we already went over these in the stream cut, I figure I don't have to cover everything. Yeah. So our next section was here and there in Japanese, which is koko, soko, asoko, and doko. Among these, you're going to use in the beginning doko a lot, because that means, of course, where. Where is something? Toire wa doko desu ka? You're going to use that one all the time, right? Where's the toilet? Or where is the post office? Yubin kyoku wa doko desu ka? So it's a very common, well, they're all very common, but the one you're going to use most in the beginning, I think, is doko. I thought the last video was live, says Omar. No, that was a stream cut. The last video was a stream cut. So the live version of that was last Sunday. So then I cut that up and I released that on Patreon on Monday. And then I released it for everyone today. And now this is sort of the question and answer in relation to that stream cut. So it was premiered live, so like you couldn't skip around in it. So a premiere on YouTube is basically where you can chat while a video is being played for the first time. So you're like the first person to ever see it, basically. That's what those are. Toire wa asoko desu. Thank you very much. I'll go over there. Sophia says, Andy, if you get through the stream, can we just have a chat? Absolutely. That's probably the best bet in this one. I think this lesson was pretty straightforward. So I think lesson 3, there's going to be a lot more questions. Live premiere. Yeah, you could say that, Dan. I agree. So koko, soko, asoko, it's just here, there, over there. And where. That's basically it. And once again, I doubt that there's any questions on these. Now, the next one is a little bit more complicated. Not much, but it's whose in Japanese. Omar says, 図書館はどこですか? Yes, that is correct. Exactly. Where is the library? So whose in Japanese, as we went over last week, is dare no. And that's basically the usage of it's basically two words. No is the possessive particle no, combined with dare, which is who, and that becomes whose. So Genki teaches this as like a separate grammar point. And it is, but it's also just a combination of two different grammar points, or a word and another grammar point, which is dare and the no grammar point. So you basically use dare no just like you would use the no particle. Dare no kaban, whose bag? これは誰の本ですか? Whose book is this? And stuff like that. So that's how dare no goes. So I'm just going to keep going through this and see if anyone has any questions. I think lesson 2 is one of the more straightforward ones. Omar says, ありがとう. You're very welcome. I'll be back in 13 minutes. Bye. That's a very specific time frame. Nice. Dan says us the same as me. Oddly exact. See you in 13 minutes. ちょっと待って, says Yatto. All right. And then we had our conversation about dare no. And it sort of expressed the similarities between using it. If I go back here, we've got お客様の財布 and 誰の財布. And see, we can use them the same exact way. Thank you for hitting the like button, someone. Always appreciate that. I think we just hit 2,300 subscribers here on ToKini Andy. Man, that is awesome. Like literally right now, I think. Let's see. 2,300 subscribers on ToKini Andy. That calls for celebration. Throw up a bunch of random celebratory emojis in the chat. Just for fun, because that's an exciting thing. 2,300 subscribers. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate that. So the next thing, and thank you for the likes. The next thing that we went over is the word mo in Japanese, or the particle mo. Dang, that's awesome, says Dan. Thank you. It is. I really appreciate it, everyone. So 2 in Japanese is, of course, mo. Celebratory toilet, celebratory cake, all kinds of stuff. Nice, Omar. Thank you. And mo is basically, it replaces the wa particle, which is the topic marker, and it means as well, or also, or to. But basically, you need 2 sentences for this, right? So basically, you'd have 彼はアメリカ人です, followed by 僕もアメリカ人です, right? You can't just have 僕もアメリカ人です alone in sort of a vacuum, separate from any other conversation. I'm an American too, but like if I just came out and said that, well, who else is the American? Who are you comparing yourself to, right? You need to have a comparison there. Another mod, says Yato. Yes, that's Yuki. She's over there. Nope, there's 2 mods. Yuki, who's sitting right over there, and Dan. Yuki, I love your profile picture, he said. She's laughing. She's the banana mod. Dan is the toilet mod. Appreciate it. Loving all of the fun. Let's bring the chat up on the screen so that you guys can see that. If you're watching this on the replay. Right on. So that's how mo works, right? Banana wa amai desu. Ringo mo amai desu. Apples are also sweet. What's that supposed to mean? Dan throws out toilet emojis, and Yuki gives bananas to people who make good sentences in Japanese or ask good questions. That's what she does. All right. これは誰のカバンですか? C さんのです。これもそのカバンはわかりません. I don't know whose bag that is. All right, those are our sentences for this one. Whew. All right. Our next part of this lesson, which was actually probably, I guess this would be the main, it's the meat of the lesson, I feel like. Negative statements, right? So negative statements in Japanese are really important because you have to know how to say that something is not something else. It's the opposite of des, which was the first thing we learned in Genki. So the opposite is de wa arimasen, but that's long and it's extremely formal and we don't ever use it in conversation really. Not ever, but very rarely. So what we shorten it to is janai or janai desu. I'm going to stop right there because Lynn says she has a question on the mo particle. Go for it, Lynn. I am all ears, or eyes. Eyes, I guess. I'm all eyes. I am the confusion, says Yato. Meat of the lesson. Yes, it's the meat of the lesson. I'd say it's not confusing, but it's the one you're going to use the most from this lesson. So Lynn says, last week during the lesson, I was confused by the mo particle because I remembered that I saw it take place of other particles than wa. But I couldn't remember where I saw that. But when reviewing lesson 4 yesterday, I came across it. Okay, let me pull up my book just so that I can take a look at that as well. Okay. From the exercise in the textbook, VA, there are several examples. Takeshi-san wa tokei wo kaimashita. Takeshi-san wa kaban mo kaimashita. In my mind, the answer should be Takeshi-san mo kaban wo kaimashita. But in the Genki key answer book, the answer they gave was Takeshi-san wa kaban mo kaimashita. Yes. Okay, that's actually correct. Same weird, tricky scheme in Takeshi-san wa doyoubi ni arubaito o shimasu. Takeshi-san wa nichiyoubi ni mo ni arubaito o shimasu. Sounds like chapter 4. And in the answer book, they said Takeshi-san wa nichiyoubi ni mo. Sorry, I already said that. Ni mo arubaito o shimasu. Could you please take some time to explain a bit more about it? I am so confused. Okay. So, I haven't looked at lesson 4 in a while, but they don't cover that in there, do they? That's silly. They put that in the answers, but they don't teach it. They do teach it. Okay. So, yes. So mo can be used in place of other particles as well. So basically, it can replace the wo particle, and actually, I think it can replace ga as well, and wa. So, for example, osake ga suki desu. 食べ物も好きです. Yeah, so you can replace ga, you can replace wa, you can replace o. And in those situations, it's still going to mean the same thing. It's still going to mean also or to. But the reasoning for this is, let's go over those sentences before and what you thought it might be. And maybe that will help us understand a little bit more about where the confusion is. So, in my mind, the answer should be Takeshi-san mo kaban mo kaimashita. Okay, so the topic there, right, is Takeshi-san. So in the previous sentence, the topic was also Takeshi-san. So the only reason you would use mo in place of the wa particle there is if the topic changed. That a different person also bought a bag, right? So then it would be maybe Meari-san mo kaban wo kaimashita. So the topic is the thing that also did that activity. So Mary also bought a bag. But what we want to say is that Takeshi bought this and he also bought that. So what we're saying is, like even in English, the also would be attached to the noun. Yeah, that's the main thing. So we need to attach the particle to what it modifies. In English, it's not so obvious because we could easily say Takeshi also bought what was the noun? Takeshi also bought a bag. And we could also say Takeshi bought a bag too. But in Japanese, we need to attach that particle to what it modifies. Like, it can't just be anywhere in the sentence. That's it. Particles are really important, is they need to come immediately after whatever they modify. So in this case, the also that the particle is, it's saying also for, is modifying the noun. He also bought this noun. So we need to put mo after that. And in that situation, it will replace wo. Now, nimo is a little bit more confusing. I also went to somewhere. Now, it's actually not that complicated though. You cannot replace ni with mo. You can't. Ni is important because it indicates direction. Mo does not indicate direction. So if you want to say that you went to some place as well, so not Mary also went to a place, you want to say that I went to this place and then I also went to this place, you would say ni mo right? Ni indicates the direction, or e. E is also fine. He plus mo. So that indicates that you also went somewhere. So, for example, Tokyo ni ikimashita. No, we're jumping into past tense there, but don't worry about that too much. Osaka ni mo ikimashita. So you couldn't say Osaka mo ikimashita. That would imply, because there's no directional particle there, that would imply that Osaka, the location, went somewhere. Osaka went somewhere. So to indicate that you went in the direction of Osaka, to Osaka, you need ni. You have to have ni. But to say that you also did it, you also need mo. So you put them together. Ni mo. Osaka ni mo ikimashita. I hope that makes sense. I knew that would be useful, said Mo. Bananas, Waka Gaming. Ooh, Wake Gaming 1. Welcome, Wake Gaming 1. We have a new banana thrower. Fukuoka da yo. Fukuoka da yo. I know, I need to go to Fukuoka as well. Tokyo and Fukuoka. In the case of de, would it be demo or just mo? It would be demo. Because de is also important because it indicates where something was done. So, for example, what's a good example? 学校で日本語を勉強しました。I studied at the school. 学校で日本語を勉強しました。お家でも日本語を勉強しました。Or I could just say 日本語、うちでも勉強しました。I also studied at home. So like the wa, ga, and o particles, they don't have any meaning in and of themselves. There's nothing you could translate them to in English. They don't mean anything. They just mark something. But de and ni, they have more meaning to them. There's more weight to them. They don't just mark something. They mark a direction or a location. So they can't just be easily replaced by mo. Yeah, so they still need to be there. They're very important. In fact, those are ones that you can't really drop easily either. Like, ni you can. Osaka itta. I went to Osaka. Osaka ni itta. You can kind of drop that. Uchi de benkyou shimashita. Uchi benkyou shimashita. Yeah, like de you really can't drop. You kind of need that one. If I say ouchi benkyou shimashita, that would sound like I studied my house. So you need the de. The de is not easy to drop. Ni is a little bit easier to drop. But anyway, that's the issue there. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Yeah. So that's for those of you watching on the replay. If you're just looking for answers to lesson 2 stuff, that's going to come in lesson 4. So it's a little bit ahead of you guys, but it's covered a little bit more detail in lesson 4, and hopefully I will cover it satisfactorily when we get there in 3 weeks, I think. Yeah. Next week is lesson 3. All right. So next we move on to janai desu, which is basically the opposite of desu, which means it is. So obviously janai means it is not. It's a very important sentence ender. We basically shorten dewa arimasen to janai. Dewa can be shortened colloquially, like in conversation, to ja. And arimasen, the informal version of arimasen, is nai. So let me just explain that one a little bit more in detail. Okay. Arimasen is the negative of arimasu, but arimasu is the mas conjugation of the verb aru, which is to exist for an inanimate object. Aru is the verb. You conjugate it into the mas form, it's arimasu. The negative is arimasen, right? So it's the negative of to exist. De wa arimasen, so it does not exist that way. Nai is the informal negative conjugation of the verb aru. Aru, you conjugate it negatively as just nai. It just becomes nai. So that's how we get janai. You add des to the end of that to make it a little bit more polite in conversation. And that's it. So it's basically just a normal x wa y des sentence, except it's janai instead of des, which means x is not y. So this is your opportunity to ask any questions you may have about janai. I think if you understand this, janai is probably pretty straightforward. You probably don't have many questions on that, but just in case, I'm here to answer anything. Or any other questions you might have. They don't have to do with the lesson 2 lesson, and they don't even have to have any relation to Japanese. I don't mind answering any kinds of questions. This is a pretty informal. The question and answer sessions are pretty informal. I don't think anyone really watches them on the replay. That's not what they're for. They're more for people to come in live and ask some questions and me to be able to give some quick answers. I answer questions quickly on Discord, but obviously in person it's a lot quicker. Sophia's Animation Studio says, hello. Hello there. Hope you're having a wonderful night. Sophia's Animation Studio and Yato both made pictures for me. One is, from the last Undertale live stream. It's pretty cool. They made YouTube videos about it. If you search around for that Undertale video, you can probably find it. Question from lesson 1. I'm still unclear of no particle. When do we use that? Okay, so the no particle, there's a couple ways it's used, but the one that's covered in lesson 1, the first way is as a... Let's actually go back. The first one is as the possessive. Let's see if I get that with dare no. This should explain it a little bit. The first is as the possessive, and the second way is just as a more descriptive way to describe nouns further. So if we look at dare no, which is basically the same as the no particle that is taught in lesson 1, we've got a noun A, no, noun B. So, boku no something, right? Noun is the main item, same as in English, really. And A is something more about that noun. So in Japanese, sometimes in conversation you can do this, but generally speaking, you don't just slap two nouns together if you want to modify the second noun. Like in English, we can say, I don't know, what's a good example? My dog, right? My dog. We can just slap those two things together, my and dog. But in Japanese, in between those words, we need to have the no particle. So that would be watashi no inu. Same exact sentence, but we need that no in between. In this case, that's actually the possessive usage of it. So watashi no saifu, my wallet. So you can think of no in that situation as an apostrophe S, basically. It's the possessive. When it's just being used to describe something further, like, for example, koukou no sensei, high school teacher, it's not the possessive, but it's similar. Like, if you think about it, a high school teacher, I mean, high school modifies teacher. It explains more about the teacher, and that's what's happening with the no particle here. But you could still sort of think about it as the possessive and get away with it. Like, that teacher belongs to high school is the way you can sort of think about it if it makes it easier for you. It doesn't make it easier for me, but I know it does make it easier for some people. But basically, it just explains more. High school teacher becomes koukou no sensei. And you can line up as many no particles as you want in, like, lesser and lesser importance, where the most important modification is closest to the noun. So, like, watashi no okasan no ototo no gakkou no sensei wa something something. So that was basically my mother's brother's school teacher, right? It gets more and more important. The final thing that I want to talk about is the teacher, right? And we get further and further away from that as we go, as we add more no's. That's sort of how the order goes. The order comes later in the book. You don't have to worry about that. That's just right now, because it's sort of hard to explain without examples on the screen. But yeah, that's basically, every single descriptor, if you're using nouns as a descriptor, needs to have the no particle after it. Hope that makes sense. Versus wa. Yeah, so it's completely different from wa. Wa marks a topic to the sentence. No is for descriptions and for possessive. Diglett says, how often do you use jarimasen in normal conversations? How often do I use, let me just go full screen for a second. How often, and there goes my camera's been giving me trouble lately. Okay. That's better. Not really. Let's jump out back to jarimasen. So jarimasen in conversation. In polite conversation, it's pretty common to use it. Let's just take that off. Back over to lesson. Get rid of that. it can be pretty common to use it. Like, I prefer to use じゃないです. じゃりません is pretty much, it's a very similar level of politeness. But if you're talking to your boss, or sometimes if I'm really want to emphasize something, I'll actually say じゃりません. Like, it's not that. Like, if I'm flustered or something, I might be more formal just to really emphasize what I'm trying to say. So Dan says, for me, it's like never. Sophia says, what should I draw? A banana. Yuki throwing a banana. But if it was like a super polite situation, じゃないです is what Dan would say. Yeah. I think the most I use it is when I'm emphasizing something really hard. Like, 赤じゃありません. Like, it's not red. I would never fight about something like that, but that's just sort of an example. It's harder to say. It doesn't flow as well as じゃない. So I prefer to use that. I'll also use ではありません, actually, for the same reason. If I'm really want to emphasize something. なんか banana ではありません. If I really want to emphasize it. But it's also used in very polite conversation. If you're giving a speech or something about your company in front of the media or something, you're probably going to use more polite Japanese, basically. But as a learner, in the beginning, I wouldn't worry about that too much. Know about it, understand it. But when you're trying to speak or something, it's perfectly fine to say じゃないです, or even just じゃない. I use just じゃない all the time. I hate red, so I would do that, said Sophia's. All right. So that's basically it for じゃない. If anyone has any other questions, just stop me anytime, and I'm happy to stop. NB Karuana, thanks for being here, has a question. Had a question on listening resources. I'm pretty comfortable writing and reading grammar, but struggle with listening comprehension. I'm on lesson 8 in Genki, so native material is still way beyond me. Any good listening resources you recommend? So on the Otonavi app for Genki, there's free listening stuff that have to do with the lessons, but it's kind of garbage, to be fair. They didn't do a great job with that stuff. I had a hard time finding good listening material for early on as well. Come to Japan just threw out a shout out for me. I do have listening and shadowing material on my Patreon, but that's not free, and I'm sure most people are going to be looking for something free when it comes to that. Yeah, even though sometimes are hard but can muddle through. So I basically took what Genki offered with the listening material, and I made it more useful, I think, on the Patreon. The lowest, it's from the $5 tier, but it's not free, so you just have to be aware of that. And it's basically, Yuki and we have like 3 characters. She's one person, I have 2 characters, and we basically have conversations using the dialogue from the lessons as well as dialogues from the streams. And they're basically listening and shadowing material. So basically you'll listen to a conversation, then you'll read along with the conversation, then you'll read along with the translation of the conversation, and then you repeat after a slow version of that conversation. Then you repeat while reading, or you shadow while reading a medium version. Then you shadow the medium version. Then you just go back to the normal version and shadow that. But shadowing is basically repeating along with someone saying something. So if they're having a conversation, you try and say the same thing they're saying while they're saying it, sort of to imitate their pronunciation and their rhythm and stuff like that. So that's what I've created over on Patreon. So it's sort of a self-plug there. Sorry about that. But the reason I made that is because there isn't a lot of great listening material out there for Genki. So that's why I wanted to make something like that. And it's extremely time consuming. And some people have asked me to start a Patreon. So I wanted to offer something of value on that Patreon. So that's one of the things that are available on there. Outside of that, there's Japanese 101's podcasts. Now, I'm not a big fan of their video series. Some people really love them. It's not that I'm not a big fan of their video series. It's more of that I'm not a big fan of some of the things they do on their channel, like making videos that are 8 hours long that you're supposed to listen to while you sleep to learn Japanese. That's just ridiculous. So I can't support their YouTube channel, really. Like, that's just ethically wrong to me. To basically lie to people and say that maybe they can learn Japanese while listening to for their sleeping, that's ridiculous. Just for watch time, basically. But their podcasts, their old podcasts, a lot of them are free, man. The beginner version podcasts on JPod 101, Japanese Pod 101. You don't need to pay for a membership. You can listen to a lot of them for free. And the podcast, man, back before they made their YouTube channel, was solid. Like, I used their podcast stuff for listening material. So I can recommend that if you're looking for something free to go over in the beginning. The JPod 101 podcasts. Karijo Maru says, I think I will join your Patreon. Thank you. Please be aware that the Patreon is following the live streams, the new live streams. So I just started the Patreon like a month ago, less than a month ago. So we're only up to lesson 2. So if you're on lesson 8, like, sure, I think the shadowing material is good to review anyway, but it's still pretty far behind you. So as the new lessons come out on the YouTube, the new material on the Patreon will also come out. There's also textbook practice on the Patreon. So it's like, it's all the textbook practice, and we are your partners for the textbook practice, because I know a lot of people study Genki alone. So it's really hard to do all the practice material in the back of Genki because it requires a partner. So who are you supposed to do that with? So we're your partners on videos on Patreon and vocab stuff. So that's what's on there. Just so you're aware. That was it's like an advertisement. Sorry about that, but couldn't help it. Anyway, Karijo Maru. Omaru. Katakana. Nice. Banana. I'm drawing my furry person, throwing a big banana. Nice. All right. Wants to join, but no money, says Sophia. Yeah, don't feel obligated to join the Patreon. It's just for those who, are able to. If you're financially challenged or don't have any money, I definitely don't want you to join. Straight up. That's helpful, thanks. Was also interested in the listening portion of your Patreon, but wasn't sure if I should wait a little as you suggest. If you're on lesson 8, I would suggest waiting. At least until I get a few more lessons in. I'd wait until at least lesson 5-ish. Unless if you want to get in there just for the listening material, I would wait until I catch up a little bit more. And I'm releasing new material every 2 weeks, so I probably will catch up eventually. And I'll be doing Genki 2 as well, and hopefully eventually some more advanced material, just so you know. But yeah, in the meantime, the beginner stuff that is free on the Japanese Pod 101 podcast website, I can recommend for listening. It's pretty good. All right. Did I miss anything else in chat? Let's see. Karijo Maru says she might join the Patreon. Thank you. I appreciate that. Omaru ne. Let's see. Looking forward to it. Thanks again. You're welcome. All right. So, moving on. Sorry if I mess up your name sometimes, guys. It's really hard to see on this little screen, the little stuff that's written. Okay. The last part of this lesson were the sentence ending particles yo and ne. And those can be a little confusing. They have a lot of nuance to them, so they can be confusing, a little bit difficult to use. My main advice for using yo and ne is to try them out. If you ever have a chance to take lessons online, or if you're in Japan and you're actually talking to people, try them out. See how people react to them. See if they feel right when you're using them. And that will help you get used to them the most. Like, you mess them up. People mess them up all the time. Well, we do. I do. But you get used to it. You sort of get a feel for it. But basically, as I was mentioning last week, yo is sort of like the English I tell you, or seriously, or really, or it's something you would add to the end of a sentence if it was new information for the listener. Brand new information, they've never heard about it, and you're confident in your statement about it. There's other usages for it too, but this is the one in Genki Lesson 2. Kyushu Trail, how's it going? Hiya, people. He says, good to see you, man. Thank you. I might have to change my name to Sophia so you can see. I can see it, but sometimes when I'm just glancing, it can be a little hard. I mess it up. And ne is very much like the Canadian A. Kyushu Trails is here, eh? It's very much like that. That is what ne is, basically. It's seeking agreement or confirmation, or sort of confirming that what someone said is correct. So, for example, when someone reads you their telephone number, 1234567, when you repeat it back to them, you'll use ne at the end of that to confirm that is correct. So, 1234567ですね, right? Correct? What that is like. Come to Japan says, boom. So some examples of those were last week. Banana wa amai desu yo. If the person didn't know that bananas were sweet, or if you have a specific banana and you're like, this is a sweet banana, it's ripe, don't worry, it's sweet. You could be like, kono banana wa amai desu yo. Just so you know, this banana is sweet. Basically like that. And banana wa amai desu ne. Bananas are sweet, right? Is asking for conversation. Or in the previous example, if we sort of put these together, banana wa amai desu yo. This banana is sweet. And the person ate it. Kono banana wa amai desu ne. Like, it really is. They're confirming that what you said is true. And they've experienced it for themselves. All right. So the Puzzle King. Yes. After I discovered this channel, I scrapped my idea of learning Russian. Ooh, Russian sounds difficult. Kia ora, Andy, says Oliver Bowman. Thanks for the stream. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Kia ora. Kia ora. I miss New Zealand. Puzzle King. Damn, what do you mean, says Sophia. Kyushu Trail just finished a huge puzzle that was basically just the sky and a reflection of the sky in water. It's over on his Twitter. So that's what Dan's talking about, I think. The material thought is with the 3rd edition. Will I still be able to follow along with the 2nd edition? Yes. If you're talking about the Patreon or this stream, yes. The reason I restarted the stream is twofold. One, and the main reason, is that I changed the format around Lesson 10. Around Lesson 10 in the original stream series, I completely changed to this blue, half-screen, colored sentences with full conversations like this in Lesson 10. And I realized that it was really useful and I wanted to redo all the old streams with this format. So that's the main reason. The second reason was that the 3rd edition came out. So I figured, why not do it all over again for people who just picked up the 3rd edition? But the material, the descriptions have been improved a little bit in the 3rd edition, but the material itself, all the sections, are identical in their, like, where they show up, what lesson they show up in, what order they show up, and it's all the same. So you're able to follow along. Listening material, it's slightly different. Like, the dialogues are slightly different. The questions in the back are a little bit different. But the way we do the videos on the Patreon are so that, like, everything shows up on screen. Everything. Like, shots of the book, if there's a certain thing you need to look at, like a picture or something. Just so that even people with the 3rd edition, like, not everyone watches videos to study when they're at home with their textbook. Some people might be on the bus and they wanna watch it right then and there. Stuff like that. So, yeah, you don't even have to have any of the Genki books to be able to follow along with the material on the Patreon or on this channel. All of the new live streams apply to Genki 1st edition, 2nd edition, 3rd edition, and the future 4th edition, I imagine. So no worries about that. Kia ora, says Yuki Cheki. We both miss New Zealand. All right. So, even though it's very stereotypical, do any of you like sushi? Not stereotypical. There's lots of people, even Japanese people, who don't like sushi. I had a coworker up until recently, since I quit my job recently, but to join another job, but she couldn't eat raw fish or sushi. So there's lots of people, even in Japan, Japanese people, who can eat raw fish, and there's lots of foreigners here in Japan who can't eat sushi. I love sushi, most types of sushi, and I miss sushi so much. Ever since this whole virus situation got out of hand, I haven't gone out to eat a single time, probably since early March. I really, really want to go out for sushi. What I really want to go out for is ramen, but going out for sushi would be nice as well. So anyway, that brings us to the end of the material that we covered in Lesson 2 last week. If anyone has any questions related to Lesson 2 or related otherwise, please feel free to ask. For now, we'll go ahead and just jump over to a regular conversational format for the last couple of minutes. And just talk. Kyushu Trail says, I like most sushi. Kyushu Trail, what kind of sushi do you not like? Oh my god, I need a haircut. I just switched over to my OBS studio and I can see myself. It's just, my hair is... Anyway, maguro or salmon is my favorite, says Coming to Japan Den. Maguro is tuna, correct? It's raw tuna. Maguro, for those of you who don't know. Legaspe, JK, raw fish in general. Says, I love sushi because I love ceviche. I can't read French. Ceviche. Ah, okay. Shirakoi? Shirako? Shirako, no way, man. Never. Never, ever, ever will I eat shirako ever again. Yuki loves shirako. Hate that stuff. Yeah, I like raw fish. I'm a big fan. I never thought I would. Like sashimi. I never ate sashimi before I came to Japan, and I didn't think I'd be a big fan. But it can be good, man. Like buri. What is buri in English? Types of raw fish, huh? Yellowtail. Buri is called yellowtail. I love buri. I love buri cooked. I love buri raw. I love buri in all its forms. Yellowtail, man, that stuff is amazing. Andy, what's your story? How did you get into Japanese and why? Ooh, that's a fun one. I've only had ramen once, says Sophia's animation studio. Oh, it's awesome, man. You gotta have more. Nama ebi, not a big fan. Me too. I like good raw ebi, which is what the hell is ebi? Shrimp. Like American raw shrimp is awesome. Stuff you get at a sushi restaurant, like a cheap one. Kaiten sushi, not so much. All right, so my story, why did I get in Japanese? So, let's see. I graduated from university in 2011. That's how far we have to go back. No, 2010. 2011? 2010. And I started working in IT, and I didn't like it. So I decided I wanted to do something else. So I went and traveled around Europe. I walked around Spain for a while, from like the southern tip of Spain to the northern tip of Spain, and then back and forth. Just to explore a bit and meet people. And while I was doing that, I met a lot of German people and a lot of people in general who did not speak English as their first language. So I helped them a lot. Because I only spoke English at the time and a little bit of Spanish, so we generally spoke in English. And lots of times they needed help with their English. So as we were walking all day, every day, literally like 8 to 10 hours a day, just walking straight ahead, I was helping them with their English. So I figured I don't want to do IT work right now, so maybe I'll try teaching English somewhere. And since I was a little kid, I always wanted to go to Japan. I don't know why. I assume it's because when I was 2 years old, that my father used to sing and dance with me to the song, Turning Japanese, I think I'm turning Japanese, I really think so. That one. That's the only thing I can think of, because I didn't watch Japanese television, like anime, when I was a kid. I didn't play Japanese games as well. I did. I just didn't know they were Japanese games. Like, there's no reason I should have wanted to come to Japan. But for some reason, since I was a little kid, I wanted to come to Japan, and I wanted to speak Japanese one day. And I don't know why. But anyway, after I came back from Europe, I decided to apply for jobs in Japan. So I came here, spoke not a single word of Japanese, not a single one. Well, gomen nasai. I knew how to say sorry. And I got here, and for the first 6 months, I didn't really bother with learning Japanese because everyone around me spoke English. But I felt kind of like, what a waste. I'm here in Japan for like a year minimum. I really should try to learn some Japanese. And I really wanted to talk to people around me who don't speak English, who like didn't care about learning English. I wanted to be able to talk to anyone. And I also wanted to just be able to get by easier. Like I didn't want, when I went out to eat, I didn't want to have to wait for the English menu. Or if there wasn't an English menu, just guess what I was eating. Or when people came to talk to me or ask me questions, I wanted to be able to respond. So I had lots of free time. I started work at noon every day, worked noon to 9. So I'd wake up at 8, and the 4 hours in the morning, I'd started studying Japanese. And that was it. Not that exciting, but anyway, I lived here, planned on living here for 1 year. Ended up loving it so much and enjoyed studying Japanese so much that I decided to not leave. And I've been here, except for 1 year where I was in New Zealand, for the past 7 years. So that's fun. Bravo. Long story. Basically, the short answer is I have no idea. Your life story sounds like an anime plot. It is. My friend used to say I'm on a TV show because of some of the stuff that used to happen to me when I was first living in Japan. One of my first days here, I was out all night till 6 in the morning, and I went up to the local temple, and a priest who was apparently related to the emperor at the time in some way. It was like his daughter-in-law or something. I don't know, something ridiculous. Came up with like a little bag blessing the people, and she blessed me while my friends watched. And ever since then, I've had amazing luck. That was what my friends said. They said, all your luck, Andy, is because of that, the priestess. Anyway, I did the Zoom nomikai with him and others last night. Oh, were you at that? I didn't watch the whole YouTube video. I saw the beginning, but it sounded like fun. With Hikoseiman or whatever. Kyushu Trail. some young soul searching for his passion in life, going around the world. That's basically what I did. To answer your earlier question, Sophia, yes, I did go to Ireland as well. I had family in Ireland that I stayed with for a couple weeks. That was fun. I liked Ireland. Ireland's beautiful, and it's so quaint and empty and green. It was awesome. Love Ireland. Love to go back. Made some good Irish friends while I was living in New Zealand as well. I can imagine that I'm like younger, you not understanding it. Yeah, I didn't know what was going on when I was young. Don't worry about it. It was fun. Yeah, and Victor. Nice. I want to go to that if that ever happens again. Although I had an online nomikai last night, and I had like 2 or 3 beers over 3 or 4 hours. That's it. But I felt terrible today because of it. I'm so weak now when it comes to alcohol, which is fine. I don't really like drinking anymore anyway. But anyway, so that was my life story from the time I graduated college until right now, and why I speak Japanese. Got to go. Sorry, be back in 50 minutes. No worries, Sophia. Let me just point out, though, that the reason I got good at as good as I did at Japanese in the amount of time that I did, which I was able to hold conversations within a few months of after I actually seriously started studying Japanese, is I stopped speaking English completely. So when I first started, like right away, I would take days, and this is because I lived in Japan, so it was possible. It's a little bit harder if you live anywhere else. But I would go whole days where I wouldn't speak English. I would if I had something to say to somebody, even if they spoke English, I would only do it in Japanese. And then in my 3rd month studying, I quit English for a month. So the whole month, even people who spoke English, I tried to explain stuff to them in Japanese, or with like gestures if they only spoke English and stuff like that. And that is what helped a lot. So if any of you do live in Japan and you have an opportunity to quit English or whatever your native language is and focus on the language you're studying, that is the best thing you could possibly do. Better than anything is just to quit your native language and focus only on the one you're doing. It's hard. It's not easy. And if you don't live in Japan, it's really hard. But yeah, it's a fun way to do it. Maybe I'll have to move to Japan to really get it down. It helps. The great thing is that, like, even when I was living in Japan, obviously I worked every day. And I was an English teacher. So I only spoke English. When I say I didn't speak any English, I only spoke English when I was in class. But that meant that I didn't have a whole lot of time to speak Japanese, in general, to random people. So I took lessons every day on Skype, even though I was living in Japan. And just for speaking practice, like with language partners and whatever. So even if you don't live in Japan, it's totally possible. But I really want to go study Japanese in Japan like I did for Chinese. It's the best way to learn. It is awesome. Come to Japan, Dan. Immersion debate. Where's Kevin? Funny, I was just reading Kevin's tweet. LOL. Okay, so that Kevin debate, that was fun. But I think the debate was a little bit different than immersion when it comes to going to a country and learning it in the country. That is no longer what immersion means in the language learning community, especially Japanese, because of, well, Mia and Ajat, basically. Immersion now, in a lot of the language learning community, is passively listening to the language all around you. No activeness in it. It's basically just always having your TV playing something in the language you're learning, and always having your phone in the language, having everything in the language, and that's great. Like, if you can't go to the country, I think that's awesome. But up until like 5-10 years ago, immersion was using it every day and being around it every day in the country. That's what immersion was. And to me, that is still what immersion is. And I think it's always going to be the fastest way, like, because you have to use it then. There's no choice. There's no willpower involved in it. There is, because you could surround yourself with English speakers anyway. But it's a lot harder to like make excuses when you actually live in the country. So I think that's where the big debate was going on Kevin's tweet. It was between people who agree that immersion in the country is useful, and people who think that just not actually practicing and just being around it all the time will make you magically fluent in the language, which I think it's helpful to have the language surrounding you, but there needs to be some activeness to it. So that was a fun debate. I enjoyed that. I don't think everyone suggests that inactiveness is the only way to do immersion. I think most people agree that there needs to be some activeness, but some people use the current immersion, the trendy immersion of language learning as an excuse to not speak. NB Karuana says, on the Skype iTalk front, when is a good time to start? I'm not sure I'd be able to talk live at this point without taking time to think of what to say. What I want to know, I need to practice. A lot of both, I feel. So, I started iTalk and video lessons very early. Now, I don't suggest that everyone do this, but what I did is I asked the teacher never to use English with me. And that was very frustrating for them. But people on iTalk and stuff will teach you Japanese in English. And you can practice the phrases and stuff with them back and forth like a real teacher, like in a real classroom. So I would suggest starting one-on-one lessons, or at least trying them, because you can do free trial lessons and stuff as soon as you can, basically. There's no reason not to, it's fine to have to think. In the beginning, no matter what, no matter how much you've studied, no matter how much knowledge you have, the first time you have to speak, it's going to take a while. You're going to have to pause and think about it because you haven't practiced speaking. So it's not going to just naturally come out. When someone comes at you with something, you're going to be nervous, a little bit tensed up, and you're not going to understand what they said. And then you're going to try and say something, but you'll forget because it's just normal. It's how it goes. So getting actually used to the environment of speaking one-on-one in the language with someone over camera is a good skill to build up before you can even speak, well. So I'd say as soon as you're ready to be uncomfortable, because it will be uncomfortable. It's always uncomfortable, but it's worth it. What I miss here? A lot of both, I feel. Funny, I was reading Kevin's tweet earlier. Okay. Hi, welcome back. Has it been 15 minutes already? I'm eating a ham tomato onion hybrid. Ham tomato onion hybrid. Is that like a sandwich? Ham tomato onion sandwich. Nice. Appreciate it, says NB Karuan. I'm happy to help. All right, guys. So it is almost 10 o'clock. And I think we had some good question and answers. If nobody has any other questions, I think I'm going to end things for tonight. But tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., so in exactly, 12 hours, I'm going to be, nothing to do with Japanese. Well, it's a Japanese game. Yakuza game. I don't know anything about it. I just got it because it was on sale. And I want to try playing it. So I'm going to play live on my YouTube channel. If anyone wants to come hang out on stream with me 12 hours from now, 10 a.m. Japan time, 9 p.m. Sunday Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to come out, hang out, play games, I'd love that. Tuesday night is the continuation of the Undertale Pacifist run. And next Sunday is Lesson 3 of Genki, the worst lesson in the book. Still the worst lesson even in the 3rd edition. And yeah, so please hit the like button. Check out the Patreon if you're interested. Join the Discord if you want to talk to pretty much a lot of people that are here in chat right now are on the Discord. And if you ever, if you're on the Discord, you can immediately, people are quick to answer questions about Japanese or anything else on there. So come hang out there if you get a chance. I have a reason to wake up at 8 a.m. on Sundays. Nice. All right. The lesson, says Lynn. Yeah, lesson 3, man. New York time, 9 p.m. Yes. 10 a.m. says Kyushu Trail. Ooh. No, I can't join because I'll be 5 in the morning. Ooh, that's rough. Anyway, but thank you so much, guys. And I hope you have a great week if I don't see you. And a great night or day. Awesome. I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.
Japanese 日本語勉強したいのか？俺と同じになりたいのか？この本持ってるのか？ Then we're here to help. え、そうなの？俺は無理って言おうと思った。On the ToKini Andy Patreon, we have listening and shadowing practice, Genki vocabulary practice, Genki textbook practice where Yuki, Ando, and I are your partners. Eventually, even workbook practice. え、そうなの？給料出る？
確かに。
Yeah, sure.
給料出るんだ。
After Genki 1, we'll be covering Genki 2, and eventually even intermediate textbooks. Detailed grammar lessons and Japanese Q&As will, as always, be on the YouTube for free. ToKini Andy Patreon, live right now. よろしくね。
ろしくお願いします。